Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, or know your nation, know yourself. The two are interchangeable. And welcome back to another HoGaLe's. My goodness, we've got lots of questions that have come in. Very varied this week. We've given rich fodder, folks. Rich fodder. This week for us to explore. And we've got some interesting characters in. Just to give you guys, well, first of all, let's of course. Oh, I've got to go this way. Here, of course, we have Lady G looking wonderful in a. What style of hat is that? It's not a Stetson, is it? What is it? It's very nice.
Yes, it is a Western hat that I decorated and did all the stuff to.
It's fabulous.
Decorated it and did all the
Wonderful, wonderful, beautiful. And of course, here down under, shivering in what seems to be a never-ending kind of winter for Australia. Is spring not upon you yet, Lena?
I know. And I feel like a polar bear that's been sort of stuck out to dry. It's freezing.
Oh, bless. I mean, it's a bit weird, isn't it? It's so funny, isn't it? Because half the time, Australia is a baked potato, as everyone knows. Everyone's worried about everything burning down. And then in the last, few years, it's been floods galore and all of this, that, and the other. And, koalas have had to learn how to swim rather than escape fire. It's very...
And we've got a viewer here from central Queensland in Australia. Hi. I bet it's not cold in central Queensland. I bet it's hot. Let me know the temperature, Janine.
Oh, bless. Must be hot there. But as usual, folks, we will crack on with the show. The ladies, of course, have had next to no preparation about what is to come. So they're going to be finding out about the show the same time as you guys, as always. But that's how we like it here. We just get in the saddle and giddy up and we see where we go. People are piling in. So let's just dive in. Oh, just to give you guys an overview. There's things about social security, lobby from central government, a little bit about China, and some other bits and bobs I will leave as a surprise because we got some juicy one and, of course, a bit of Shakespeare. So let's dive in. So the first one, we're going to jump in our esoteric airplane and we're going to go to China. We've not been to China for a little while. So Nick Minks, as usual, intrepid Nick Minks, rooting around for interesting questions for us. And she always finds something interesting each week. So this is one I thought that would be a bit tantalizing for the ladies to read on. So what Nick Minks says, she says, in China, the retirement age for men will be raised from 60 to 63. Interesting. And for women from 50 to either 55 or 58. I mean, that's quite a dramatic increase, depending on the work they do. Will this be accepted and will it make any differences to China's financial crisis? Interessant.
Because, of course, they set themselves up with the ludicrous one-child policy.
Yeah. Apparently, according to the statisticians who've done the deep research on this, apparently China should have abandoned the one-child policy no later than 1995.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, big oops.
Oops. So they can no longer, basically, the population is aging out. There's no longer enough young people having children, and those that are of childbearing age only want to have one because it's become part of the culture. So they can't replace themselves. It's a big drama, and it will just get worse as the years go by. Oops.
So we're talking about retirement age. And in Australia, we've put it up and up and up. So as I was getting closer to the traditional retirement age of 60, it went to 65, and then 65 and 3 months, and 65 and 6 months, and evil.
My goodness. But you know, Lena, when you're a YouTuber, you never retire. It's as simple as that.
Oh, that's right. That's not the issue. It was retiring from the real job that was the issue.
Yeah, exactly. In China, how will this affect
The retirement age. Oh, in China.
Well, I've already made the solemn vow to myself that I will never retire. I'll just keep doing the astrology and whatever my projects are and stuff like that until I drop dead. I'll probably drop dead or be struck by lightning, either reading a chart or making some proclamation on the world. Oh, who would like to go first?
Well, I can if you like. It's got very curious cards here. It starts with the Queen of Cups, which is often the mother symbolically, with the Queen of Cups. And so I take that to read that the women, it'll be different for different women. Some people, if you work hard with your body and you're a cleaner and you're up at 4 a.m. for 35 or 40 years, you're counting down the days to retirement. But if you're a white collar worker, it can be a totally different calculation. But I think the women are quite emotionally involved in this. So I won't say one side of the fence or the other yet, because with the Temperance card, it's both sides, like I was just explaining. So for some people, it's good news. Some people, it's bad news. But what about for the country? I think this is yet another decision. You've got a one-party system. The decision is made for you. And also, as we know, it's not so much about the age you leave work. It's what benefits you have at your disposal once you leave, whether that's a good thing to retire or a nightmare that you've got to live with. So it's the legal nature of it. People will comply because that's how it is with this Two of Cups. But I get mysteriously, I get the Three of Cups here, which traditionally is celebration, etc., etc. So I think the government's going to have to come up with some sort of significant sweetener. If you're going to work longer, they're going to have to promise them something. And whatever that promise is will sound good, at least at this point. But they are stuck in the sense, and they're going to have to get more immigration into China. And this is why it's stupid to demonize immigrants. All our countries are aging. It's developing countries that have young populations. So the older countries are going to have to wake up and deal with immigration differently to sustain the lifestyle we've all come to expect.
Interessante. All right, Lady G, what do you have?
Well, we start out with looking for the long-term haul for this, wanting to make it better economically, etc., but it's going nowhere fast. So we have, going into it, very strong ideology they're putting forward. Of course, they want to get to a better place, but the people riding the boat are in the mind spin about it. Because the challenge is karma card, and not liking what's coming down now. They got themselves in this mess because of the one child policy, etc. With the outcome of, they're feeling hung upside down and they are seeing the pain of it all. The people are, of course, not liking this at all. It's putting a big strain on them mentally and physically to say, oh, now you have to work X amount of time more. So, yeah, they're not happy with it at all.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And just to read some comments on that, some feedback on this story on China about retirement. I know some people don't like it, but what I say is this: if people are taking the time to tune in, write and comment in the show, I will read them out, because we're grateful for people's participation, and it's always interesting finding the extra nuances that the audience brings. So Campbell, Professor Campbell says, hopefully this will click up nice and quickly. Not enough babies and market is nervous. Who to sell to? Yeah. There's that. We've got a question about JD Vance and basically there's speculation that he might be replacing Trump. Kel Bell says, China's retirement age sounds great. Even the raised ones. I can't fully get my SS until 67. Yeah.
Yeah, I sympathize, Calbell. Yeah, I was 66 and a half or something stupid when it happened.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's, yeah, exactly. It's still quite low.
Central Queensland has discovered us. Oh.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Central Queensland. And someone else has said, before I read my cards, Kay says, UK retirement age 66 from next month, 67 from 2026, possibly increasing to 68 in another 2 years after that. Which means like I said, folks, I will never retire, because by the time I get close to that, it's going to be 80, because everyone's going to be living to 110, and who knows anyway. So here with my cards, look up, straight off the bat, we got the Page of Cups, which everyone knows I referred to as stinky fish. And this really is a stinky fish message for a lot of people, because there were a lot of people looking forward to this. Imagine you were 2-3 months from retirement, you know, you're on your knee, your second knee replacement, you were looking forward to being, you know, easing up a bit, and then before you know it, they move the goalpost 3 years into the future. Imagine if you're a woman about to retire and you're looking at maybe another 5 or 7 years of working. That really is a shocker. So for a lot of people, this is a deeply unpleasant message, and they're probably thinking, what the, you know what? If we look here in the obstacle position, and technically this is a positive card, however, the first card is a bit sketchy. So really, I think this is the opposite of victory in this instance. I think this is representing a lot of the people that were anticipating the victory of their retirement, and it's gone hit the skids, snakes and ladders, and you know, they've hit the snake on the way down. So the opposite of victory for them, frustration and almost feeling like they're falling from a great height. If we look here, this of course has put a lot of people into turmoil about their finances. Here they're having to kind of juggle everything. Of course, let's not forget as well with this is talking about the stormy seas. This can also talk about the CCP's attempt to rebalance the economy, because as Lena says, everyone is maturing out. So let's not forget, once upon a time, per head, China had one of the youngest populations. Then the middle class exploded, everyone left, you know, the farmland and stuff, and started, their standards of living went up. One child policy, no one wants to have many kids now because they enjoyed having the one, or they don't have the space or the money. And now the CCP are trying to rebalance the economy, but it's a bit too late, particularly when we see the next card, which of course is the Ten of Swords. So many people feel literally betrayed, stabbed in the back. But I think this is also part of how the one-child policy has essentially done this to the growth numbers of China, because time is time. If everyone is having one child and the majority of people are starting to go into their 70s and 80s, your nation doesn't have a future. Simple as that. And if we look here, of course, this is also talking about women. We have the Queen of Wands here. I think this is the women of China who have, of course, found emancipation, freedom, agency in their lives, because this is quite an emancipated card. And I think it's also the case as well, like I've seen documentaries on China where they talk to women and they're like, I don't want to have lots of kids. I just want the one. I was an only child and that worked great for me. So yeah, they're going to have to rely on either immigration or robots, which is what they're doing already. Anything to add to that, ladies?
Yeah, the other problem they had the one-child policy. So these people, you know, would find out what they were having, and they tried to get rid of the girl children. So now
Yep.
they have an overabundance of males and not enough females to marry them. And then the women are wanting to be independent. They don't want to get married now anyway.
Yes, exactly.
Really a freak.
Exactly right.
Thanks so much for that point. And it's absolutely true, because every girl now is super premium. Every girl now potentially has like 10, 15, 14 suitors, and they're just like, nah, you're not good enough, not good enough. So, oh well, it's it was always an extraordinarily cruel policy anyway, and it was bound to backfire.
And that's what happens when you don't have enough sociologists in government. I'll just say
Absolutely.
that.
And when people lie about the numbers because they deliberately overstated their population so they could get the funding, and it turns out that I think China overestimated its population by around about 350 million or something like that.
Yes,
I've empty cities everywhere. It's really not pretty. All right, are we ready for question number 2? All right, this one is more about reading it out, but I'm not sure if we should necessarily answer it. I'll explain why in a minute. So, all right, here we are. So this is coming from Cherry. Thanks so much for your question, Cherry. Or maybe it's Cherie. She says, something is in the wind. Could you please briefly read on whether or not there is an imminent attack or on or near London during the last half of this September? Thank you so much. And the thing is, what I want to say is, and maybe I'm making a wider point, there are quite a lot of channels that do catastrophize. Yeah, I'm not going to name names, but what I wanted to say is it's speculating on whether a disaster or some major attack is going to happen is, in my opinion, not necessarily very helpful, because what does it help you do? It doesn't prevent the attack anyway, and it can just increase anxiety. What I would say is that Uranus is going to be on the star Algol again between the 5th and 6th of November 2024, this year, the US elections. I think that time period is probably more worth talking about than maybe kind of random attacks around the world, because A, you can't do anything anyway, and B, if it's your time to go, it's your time to go. There may not be imminent attacks. You could just get run over the bus, or you could just fall out the wrong way of bed, which is still the majority of the way that people die, by the way, getting out of the wrong side of bed. So it's not to completely dismiss it, but I just feel like I had to make that point. Would you ladies like to read on it, or shall we move on to the next one?
I think move on. I'm not big on disasters. Yeah,
because when they happen, like, we can read on them once they've happened, but I don't see how it helps. Do you know what I mean? Particularly with this volatile energy. So thanks for the question, though, but I just thought I'd make that point there. All right, so question number 3. Oh, now we're talking about Rupert Murdoch.
Oh, my countryman.
So this is another cracker from Nick Mink. So she says, a battle over the future of Rupert Murdoch's empire will begin next week behind closed doors and centers on who will inherit it. Do the cards predict any surprises with this looming court battle? Does Lachlan, who shares the philosophies of the right, I think she meant to say, of his dad, stand to gain complete control? I thought that was a good one.
It's exactly the plot of Succession. Whoever wrote Succession did such a good job.
Wow.
And Lachlan has spent his life trying to please the unpleasable daddy. And just for a bit of background, the other two, James and Elizabeth, are actually, because they've all had good educations, you know, this is what people think, they want to either sell or take Fox in a different direction, not so primitive as this, you know, yelping, horrible right-wing nonsense. So what will happen? I'm intrigued by this question.
Yeah, great question.
What will happen? Mm.
And I think we should get
Shakespeare. They're
Shakespeare
such a ghastly family.
on Lachlan, don't you think? Lachlan, don't you think we should get a bit of Shakespeare on
Pronounced
him?
Lachlan. Yeah.
Lachlan, okay. Let's see what the bard thinks of the sun, the right-wing sun. And I saw on a headline in the UK paper, apparently Rupert Murdoch is talking with the remnants of the Tory party because there's going to be a leadership contest coming up, and he's talking with Kemi Badenoch, who is known to be pretty right-wing, and one of the other ones who is obviously wanting to put their hat in the mix. And I think the headline was, Rupert still seeks to influence UK politics.
Yeah. Not just influence, you know, like he steered it right through the Thatcher years, and which gave the world neoliberalism. Thank you, Thatcher and Reagan. You know, it wasn't a little tutu on the side.
This is interesting. Who's ready to read?
Do you want to go, Lady G? Because these cards are...
Yeah, I'll go. So we start off that he is kind of out of the churchiology there, kind of, you know, out doing his own thing in the cold. And going into it, we've got kind of, it's going to be rough. It's going to be swords in the back and charging forward. So, you know, it's going to be all out warfare between them with the challenge of trying to temper a loss. Tempering a loss with an outcome of this delusional thing, attempting to hold on to whatever he can. So, yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to do well. And it's going to really be a battle between them going forward for this.
Fascinating. Lena, what do you have?
Well, the Wheel of Fortune. This is their fate and karma to have to deal with this issue, as it is with all dynastic families. The problem is it affects all of us, how this family jumps one way and another in the big picture. Oh, it's about the money. Fancy that. The Neo-Vedic. Who would have dreamt? You know, there's no. Now, here's the thing. They are fighting like crazy with these Toth cards, and they're fighting each other here.
Yeah.
It's fast and furious. One will emerge, and probably as long as Rupert has breath in his body, it will be Lachlan. But just like the character in Succession, he pits them, and Trump does this too, and they all say that. He pits his kids and everyone else against each other. But this is, I think, Lachlan emerging just in time to fall on his face. This is the card of failure. So it's like this internecine fight that he's probably going to win, and then failure.
Fascinating. Very, very
probably
interesting.
On the other side of the election, there won't be the appetite for this Fox thinking that has been.
Wow. Yeah, very, very interesting. Look, someone's contributed here. Lexi Moser says, I don't know the validity of this, of course. This is literally just come in the comments. I watched a show about the Murdoch, and one of his higher-ups borrowed his car/driver, and the guy's wife was kidnapped and murdered for a ransom they wouldn't pay. Oh, my goodness. Oof. And then Mercury Angel says, such a nasty way to make money, putting out all sorts of negative nonsense. Yeah, I know. There are people that unfortunately, love to go to the shadow because, of course, like they say, bad news travels faster than good. And then someone's given a really simple one here. Charles has said, and I thought Trump was old. Yeah, Murdoch is 93, so he's the best part of 100. But remember what I said: wickedness can be a very good preservative.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's often the most wicked ones that live these rather extended lives. All right, so what cards did I get? Crash, bang, wallop. Yeah, someone's going to be wielding the club. Yeah, literally wielding the club. It's probably going to be Lachlan, who's probably like, I'm the heir. I'm the heir apparent. I'm the one who should do it. Either way, me, I should be it. Either way, it's going to be spirited, and I think it is going to be a bit of a battle. And I think all the siblings are going to be basically picking up their weapons and having a go, not just Lachlan, all of them. If we look here, look what's in the obstacle position, but they're fighting over who's going to be Pope. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Who's going to be pontiff, yeah, of the whole organization? Who's going to be putting out the right-wing doctrine, you know, as we continue to saturate the world with our BS? Yeah, that's what they're fighting over, to be the ultimate king. If we look here, though, it looks like because there are two kings that have turned up here, but I think this one here, the King of Wands, I think this is Lachlan seeing himself there as the heir apparent. Again, the Wands energy is back. He's probably going to be the one who's going to fight most aggressively for it, because he really does want to be king. Now, look at this. There's another king that's turned up here, but this time it's the King of Cups. Now, as you know, usually we associate this card with Biden, but we're not talking about Biden. We're not even talking about politics in this instance. I think this is about democracy itself.
Interesting.
I think this is part of what the fight is over, because when I was in the supermarket getting my groceries, I saw that headline for the UK of how Murdoch is already dibbly-dabbling in UK. Well, he's been doing it for years, every democracy, but I think this is the Murdoch's relationship to democracy itself, which they are constantly trying to undermine. And then if we look here, here's the outcome card, the shrewd, embattled person. So I think after this is all done, I think the whole family are going to be feeling quite beat up by the whole process. Whoever swings the club best is probably going to win. But it shows it could be quite a tough and bloody battle. There's probably going to be a lot of wounded egos and personalities. Someone is going to stagger out. I say it's probably going to be Lachlan, but there will be a price to pay. But this also suggests as well the future of Fox and stuff like that, and the right-wing message may not be as assured. Yeah, because it's not an easy card, the Nine of Wands. It's an embattled card. So maybe they don't get all their own way.
Well, that would be the ideal outcome. Lachlan wins, keep doing it, and it fails.
Could be.
He represents not adapting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Shall we see what the Bard has to say about Lachlan? Because we've not read on him yet, have we?
No. Oh, that'll be interesting.
Whose turn is it then? Is it you, Lena? Lena, right.
Okay.
You know the procedure. Lachlan, tell me where to stop, and then we'll see what the Bard has to say.
Ready, stop.
Wow. This is interesting. Very interesting. All right. So this comes in from King John. I didn't know there was a play called King John by Shakespeare. So this is what the Bard has to say. There is not ugly a fiend of hell as thou shalt be.
Ooh, ouch.
There is not ugly a fiend of hell as thou shalt be. And then the Bard also goes on to add, this is about Lachlan, he is white-livered and red-faced.
Oh, ow, wow.
And that's from Henry V. So I think that's pretty quite a clear indictment there, isn't it? So he's saying like, he's saying he's like a fiend of hell, hideous, really.
Because there's no need to be this awful.
Yeah, but he's also white-livered and red-faced. So that is also to do with cowardice as well, because anyone who's white-livered it's almost like a fatty liver in a way.
Lily
They don't
livered
have
is another one.
yeah, lily livered. They don't have oomph, and red faced, of course, speaks of embarrassment. So could this be in the sense of his feelings of inadequacy, perhaps around his father, and wanting to just perpetrate what the dad has been doing, whether he believes in it or not? So
Yeah.
So there's an
Yeah.
element of cowardice there as well. Wow. There you are. The
Well,
bard.
just I've got two more quick things to add to that. One is I'm old enough to remember Lachlan's first big business venture when he was a young 20-something. There's another Australian mogul family, the Packers, and Lachlan and Kerry Packer, at the beginning of mobile phones and everything, they were going to make a killing. And so they each got $500 million or something from their daddies, put it into this operation called Singtel, and lost everything.
Wow.
Lost everything. And the second thing I'd like to say before we move on is we forget that Murdoch has the 2 kids with Wendy Deng, who would be coming of age. And while the Anglo family is fighting over here, you watch those 2 Murdoch Dengs are going to go on to really cause havoc.
Yeah.
Which could also be like with that 9 of Wands, that embattlement, because that doesn't suggest the ending of this, it being settled and done. It didn't end with like the Ace of Pentacles or the 6 of Swords, moving to smoother waters. It was embattlement. So this could be the first of many. Ooh, interessante. Okay, are we ready for the next question?
Absolutely.
All right, so Ashley Song has said, can you please read on Stephen Miller? I had to give him a quick Google, but he's basically...
Yuck.
Yeah, he seems to be a real greasy character.
Yeah.
He was screaming at a Venezuelan reporter just for asking him why he believed a dictator's crime numbers, which were false, of course. Maybe the bard on him too, if it hasn't been done yet. And then she talks about Megyn Kelly, etc. But let's look at that. Let's look at this Stephen Miller. He was screaming at a Venezuelan reporter asking him why he believed a dictator's crime numbers were false. So I don't know. Is that a question? How do we frame that into a question about Stephen Miller?
Let's just look at Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
Will Stephen Miller be a player after this election or something?
Yes. Let's do that.
Because he's just a hate machine.
Exactly. And we'll get the bard on that as well. That was going to be my original one. So we'll see what the bard has to say about Stephen Miller.
Stephen Miller.
Ugh. Yeah, that's how I feel.
I'm getting chills and not in a good way.
Yeah, me too. I'm just like, just even engaging with him he's just slimy. Yuck.
Stephen Miller.
Stephen Miller.
I'm staying with the top cards for Stephen Miller.
Stephen Miller. What's the energy around this douchebag? Interesting. Who'd like to go first?
I can if you like.
Go for it.
I pulled a couple of extra cards for him because he's quite a complex character in his own awfulness. So I'll put these 2 together. He fights going forward here. This is sort of, slashing through at a great pace. He's probably one of the few left standing from the original vanguard of the, Bannon's gone, they've all got, Paul Manafort, they've all been in jail, and Stephen Miller, the speechwriter, because he's white collar, he just writes filth as opposed to, the other stuff. He had huge momentum. That's in his past. what's happening now is he's dealing with some sort of crisis. Okay, with this Ace of Swords, he's dealing with a crisis. There could be finally, dare to hope, dare to dream, some legal repercussion. He's always been so behind the scenes that he's got away with everything. Look at these two cards. This is the card of debauchery in the Thoth deck. Now, I don't think, I don't want to think about Stephen Miller and debauchery. I don't want that in my brain. But I think it's meaning debauchery of the soul. I don't think this means he's in a motel with a 12 or 13-year-old debauchery. It's debauchery of the soul, because he had an education. He comes from a Jewish family, and he chose to turn his back on all of it and go anti-immigration and all of that. It's an emotional debauchery. And when he puts it out, look at there's the complexity. Most aces are boom, straightforward. Look at this Ace of Wands, right?
Yeah.
Using it for all these nefarious reasons. Outcome card is defeat.
Wow.
So he might have peaked and coming down the other side. What have you got, Lady G?
You know, this guy, you know, every time I look at him, I just see his past life. He was a Nazi officer with the
I've always felt that.
yeah, with the scar across the cheek that they would get. And you know, he comes back in this time. They make him Jewish. He still hasn't. He's still in his old mindset of the Nazi. Yeah. So yeah, he just creeps me out every time I see him. So we go into it with him going forward, you know, trying to go with cudgel in hand, moving forward. But what we have now, and I think this is Kamala and democracy going forward, because the challenge is her strength, and she is not playing, and he is feeling tied up with what is going to be coming out in the new administration. With the outcome, his fishtails and lies are not going to do him well. He's going to be like swords in the back, an ending to his nonsense.
Yes, very interesting. And I've got to read out some of the comments here, because like even just the mention of this man has brought many people into a state of disgust. So who's this here? Phyllis says Miller is a nasty piece of work. That reporter held him to task, and it was glorious. What's added? JC said, he said cruelty is the point.
Oh,
yeah. Edith says he looks like a movie Undertaker. Anne Rude said the gag factor is immediate with the mention of Stephen Miller. And then another one says, Mercury Angel says Stephen Miller is a character from a Stephen King book. Ugh. Yeah. So he's really just, even just when I was just getting into his energy, reading the cards, it was just like, ugh, yuck. Yeah. Anyway, so if we look here, the card symbolizing the whole reading here is the Four of Swords. Now, as you know, this can be the career ending. Yeah. The card of career endings. So I don't know, is this a bridge too far? Has he peaked, as the ladies are saying? My instinct is, I really don't know much about him, and I'm glad that I don't. But my instinct is, I feel like he may have peaked, and this challenge maybe just focus things in people's mind a little bit. Obviously the only way he could carry on is if Duck L'Orange carries on, but even then this card does have a certain kind of a finality to it, and I doubt it's the positive interpretation, which is meditation reflection. This is talking about
that's right,
you know, it's being about wounded in battle. So maybe he's peaked, If we look in the obstacle position here, we have the Knight of Pentacles, which is the slow and steady, loyal knight when we're talking about it in the positive sense. However, this is technically the obstacle position, and we can turn it like this, in which case it becomes the mercenary. So, of course, we know who he's a mercenary for, MAGA and all of the far right, BS. If we look here in the middle, I think this is actually talking about him, but in the more negative, sadly, the more negative connotations of the King of Swords. When it's positive, this can be astute, accuracy, forthrightness, upholding the truth. But the shadow of the King of Swords can be spite and cruelty. The King of Swords, the shadow of the King of Swords, can mean a very cruel, cold-hearted man. Yeah, so I think that's talking about him. And of course, it can talk about people with lighter hair and lighter eyes. And I think I saw a picture of him. I think his eyes are blue or green or something like that. Anyway, if we look here, this is quite interesting. He's probably questioning in his own future, actually, not really liking the options on the table. He probably thinks Duck L'Orange is probably not cruel enough. Probably
this
thinks
man has no base. Yeah,
because these people are so, wackadoodle. And I think even Duck L'Orange, even in that car crash debate, said, I think there should be exceptions in terms of for abortion, for rape and incest and stuff like that. He probably was howling and threw a Ming vase at the TV screen, or whatever else he wanted to throw. But here there is the left field option coming out. So I don't know, could this be the death rattle, the howl of dissatisfaction? Maybe he's peaked, maybe he wants to move on to something else. However, I think in terms of the election, he's just decided the best form of defense is attack. So I think he's just gonna attack and just see basically what happens. But my feeling is that I think he's peaked. And there's this element where even Duck L'Orange may not be extreme enough for him. I think that's how crazy this guy is. Yeah, it's my instinct. Shall we see what the Bard has to say about this creature?
So, Lady G, your turn.
Let's see what the Bard has to say about Stephen Miller. Let me just get here so I can get the pages right. Un momento. And I don't know if we covered it last week, but did you hear like what Trump was saying about immigrants now, like about eating people's pets?
Yeah.
Eating the dog.
But what should have been at best a joke of the worst taste, there's now been 2 days of Springfield schools being closed and bomb threats and stuff because of this hate-filled nonsense.
It's just all vile, isn't it? It's all vile. All right, Lady G, this will be the Bard's opinion on this Stephen Miller ghoul. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Oh, all right. I think it's supposed to be that page. Let's have a look. Oh, wait, that one we've read before. That one we've read before. Let's go again, because a lot of these we've read before. Let's see if we can get something different.
Okay.
1 minute. Let's go. All right, going again.
And stop.
Oh, this is very, very interesting. All right. Wow. Okay, so the first one is really straightforward, and the second one is quite interesting as well. So this is from As You Like It. And this is what the Bard has to say about Stephen Miller. In civility, thou seemest so empty. Yeah. That's from As You Like It. And on the next page, it says, there's neither honesty, manhood, not good fellowship in thee.
Ooh.
Yeah, isn't it fascinating?
Yeah. I think that's bang on. That's from Henry.
And they're both quite subdued. We've had more spectacular quotes, but they actually nail him completely.
Yeah, I think that's him. In civility, those seemest so empty from As You Like It. There's neither honesty, manhood, not good fellowship in thee. That's true. Yeah.
So true.
Bang on again. The bard never fails. My goodness. Are we ready for the next question?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So let's have a look here. Now we're going to, where are we? We're going to question number 5. Oh, now we're going to talk about the Pope.
Oh, dear.
Pope. Any Catholics watching, we apologize in advance or whatever. But anyway, this is a question that's coming. Nick Minks again with another kind of bombshell. So she says, the Pope has called both US presidential candidates, so that means Duck Larange and Kamala, against life, and advised Catholics to choose the lesser evil when voting. I've got to get this out. I'm just, my God. Would the cards indicate as to who is considered the lesser evil, and see what the cards come up with? What I will add before that, if the Pope cannot see who is the lesser evil between Duck Larange and Kamala Harris, I mean, it leaves much to be desired. But shall we just see what the cards have to say about the energy?
Yeah, so what's our actual question?
What was the Pope's intention for what does the Pope hope to achieve by saying this? Because he's referred to both presidential candidates as against life. So I'm not quite sure why he's levied that anyway, even in Trump's direction. Yeah. And he's advised Catholics to choose the lesser evil. So he's seeing them both as evil. What was his energy behind this?
Yeah,
what's going on with him?
What was he thinking about, Francisco?
Because he's slagged off both of them, really.
Yeah, quite badly.
Yeah,
to use the E word even as a throwaway. You know.
Choose the lesser of two evils, and it's like
really
very off color, in my opinion. Apologies if anyone's devout Catholic, but let's just see what is going on in the pontiff's head with this. Very negative. With the pontiff. And if any of us get the devil card, then that really is an issue.
Well, here you go, Hoagie.
Oh, you're joking. You are bloody joking. There. Right.
I thought I'll pull one more card because I was just making sense of it.
Because for me, that's the energy of it. I'm like, what is he thinking?
I can go if you like.
Go for it.
Queen of Cups. For someone who lives in a world without women, we won't go into the historic of that. I think this is the Pope's mother. Now, stay with me. I think he was inculcated as a young Catholic boy. He has her voice in his head about abortion or whatever, being anti-life. He's sat on this for a long time. As the world's moved forward, in some ways he's been, dare I say, even progressive, at least being compassionate about immigration and Italy and something. So he sort of sat on this one, and we didn't realize how strident he was or how passionately he feels about this. So go on, do your worst. Here's the Tower. Here's the Devil. Here's the Chariot. 3 major arcana. Boom, boom, boom. Hastening the end of the Catholic Church.
Wow.
I think people will not be happy with this thing. I just hope it was a translation error. But these are not good cards.
No. No, not good at all. Lady G, what do you have?
Well, we start off with feeling, pushed to the edge when it comes to this. Yeah. So what we have is this higher. higher ideals of a victory, or is he seeing Trump having a victory with it going forward by saying that? With the challenges, what's being given out, and this wanting to distance himself from it. Now, what we have for the outcome, I think this is very interesting. We've got him suited up here with the armor. I think, and he's wearing all the grapes. I think he's been imbibing a little bit too much of the wine. Okay, and what's being built and what he's hanging on to again and trying to maintain control. But yeah, I think he's been a little bit of tippling a little too much and armored up. You know, that's what I like about that. You see his little foot sticking out there, all armored up. Yeah.
Wow. I would say this is one of the most interesting readings that we've had, because we've never read on the Pope before, and the cards are really quite revealing. All right, so I'm going to go with my ones. So what we got here, we've got the Ace of Cups, and normally this is a card of happiness overflowing and stuff like that. But let's not forget, he used the E word, evil. Yeah, and the devil has shown up, Tower has shown up, and rather dubious cards have shown up for the Pontiff here. One of the things that I kind of forgot about this card, and I must have been watching a tarot channel. Actually, maybe I was watching you, Lena, or maybe it was you, Lady G. But sometimes this card can actually, no, that was it. I remember now. I was having a chat with Johnny's apprentice when we were in Las Vegas. He was teaching a class and someone asked him what the W meant on the cup. He didn't know the answer at the time. It escaped his mind, but then he remembered, and apparently it's symbolic of a woman's womb.
Oh,
how interesting in the context of this question. So there's that. So this is the Pontiff, and look, there's a dove here and everything. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like you would expect nice comments to come from the Pontiff. However, look who's turned up in the obstacle position. Pages, as we know, are all about messages, but this is turning up in the more negative connotation, which can mean slicing words, sharp words, harsh words, something even a little bit sneaky or untoward. So this is a little bit interesting. What I find interesting as well is, why is the money card coming up?
It's a very Catholic card. It's all about charity, but where are they with hungry children in Latin America and the Philippines and
Exactly. So is this some kind of fundraiser? Is he trying to get support from people like, we're still right wing, you know, don't worry, the Pope is not woke? Yeah.
Right.
Is it something like that? Who is he pandering to? Who is this? Who are the coins being given to? We know the Catholic Church isn't poor. It's more about what's being dished out here. So there does seem to be some kind of element of funding motive or something like that. I know people might find this scandalous to put these aspersions, but let's not forget as well, the majority of the Catholic Church, other churches as well, are still based on donations from ordinary people. Let's not forget, each one, the box goes round after each sermon. But when we look here, we get the Four of Wands. So this is also showing he's trying to influence the White House. As we know, this is one of the alternate cards for the White House, the Four of Wands. And he has spoken directly on the two main candidates. And I think here the cards are just making that explicit. And then if we look, we get the World card. Oh, let's cover the boobies, you know. We get the World card here, which is talking about beginnings and endings, endings and beginnings. The feeling I get is that, as we know, the Pope has suffered recently for some ill health. Could this be because he may be feeling that his end is near and he just wants to throw his sixpence worth to maybe put his finger on the scales of whatever? So I had to read pull some clarifiers. like Lady G as well, I got the 5 of Wands. I think this has caused a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons. And there will be a lot of people that will be asking why the pontiff is speaking in this way on 2 political candidates. Again, Pentacles comes up, something about money and funding. And the outcome card is the Moon. So something's not right with the pontiff. I think he's having a bit of a funny turn, to be honest. And I think Lady G might be onto something with the fermented grapes. Maybe a little bit too much.
Yes, could be. One more thing I'd like to add here from Kate Jackson in the comment. I think absolutely right, Kate. The Catholic Church supported Hitler, plus Opus Dei is the umbrella group for extreme Catholic groups, which include aspects of Project 25 and all the anti-abortion movements. So it's perhaps not so surprising. And I think Bilbao was part of all that.
Yeah.
Of course.
I pulled 3 clarifiers, and what I got, he's laying down for the Uber right and putting out the message for that.
There you go. To keep the funding coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because remember, I got it all dovetails in. Lady G got this card as well. Oh my goodness. It's to keep the coffers going.
Yeah.
The Pope is not woke. That's what I heard in my mind, like his slogan.
Yes.
Wow. Isn't it amazing what happens there? Gosh, oh gosh, that's rather consequential, that reading, ladies. I think that had quite a lot of meat to it. We've got time for one more. I'm going to have to skip a few because the questions have been wonderful today. We have 1,495 of you with us right now. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much for your questions and contributions. And please don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification. If you would like to subscribe to the ladies' channels, they will be put in the video description below, which I will post up after this video. All right, so look, we have to finish on a Duck L'Orange one. Some of these other questions I'll probably have to tackle on a Thursday fry-up. So here, this is about, what do I want to look at? There was something about the debate. Someone was asking whether or not Trump is going to do another debate. However, he's already ruled that out, hasn't he?
Yes.
Right. So we already know that. So that's probably not going to happen. Let's talk about... Oh, okay. Which one do you want, ladies? Do you want to do one about lobbyists that control government, or the USA Social Security breach that has recently come to light? Which one do you want to do?
Lady G?
Doesn't matter to me. Let's do 1 card pulls.
Yes, do both. Well done.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. We'll do a 1 card pull on each.
We haven't done that for a while.
Yeah, we've not done it.
So what's our first one, Hope?
Let's do the Social Security breach and then lobbies and government and stuff like that. So Patricia Franzino has asked, over 270 million Americans may have had their Social Security number leaked on the dark web. Oh my God. The latest breach involved National Public Data, which performs background checks, says it believes the breach occurred in December of 2023. This was revealed to the public on the 7th of September. Will this antiquated system of having Social Security numbers be overhauled during the Harris-Walz administration? Good question. 1 card pull each.
So will social be overhauled in the new administration?
And she left a very good article, which I read, talking about the ins and outs of it and how the Social Security number is essential in the States for all sorts of things. All right, 1 card.
Okay.
Social Security. All right. Are we ready with our cards? All right. After 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh. Okay.
Interesting. Okay, Lena.
Yes. Well, Wheel of Fortune. This affects so many people. It is really significant. And so the Wheel of Fortune governs time. It's like it's time. I'm not saying in 4 years there'll be a completely other system, but they'll be looking at it.
Wow. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Definitely seeing that this needs to move forward to calmer waters, to a better place. So they are mentally, looking at ideas on what to do with it to move it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way I interpret my card is I've got the Queen of Cups here. And as we know, she's got her crucible of secrets. I think these are the people that have stolen the information.
Oh, yes. Good.
I think it's them. I think this may have even been an inside job.
Oh,
yeah, that's
yes.
just come to me. I think it may have been an inside job because remember, the Queen is full of secrets. So I think someone may have facilitated the data breach. Think about it. This is 270 million people that we're talking about here. There must have been a bit of inside help. So I think they're going to have to reform it. But my instinct is someone sold those secrets. I think someone made a lot of money and they don't know
people
about
in the
it.
chat have been impacted. And
Really?
just Kendra says we're getting a lot of scam emails since that happened.
And Vintage Gal is saying her social security was compromised and she's been working on her identity all week.
Wow. Look at that. So you see, very relevant. But I think, guys, there was an inside job here. It's too big. It's too big. They must have had help. Yeah. Wow. Wow. My goodness. Okay. So let's do the next one, which is, this is about a question about lobbyists, and this will wrap up the show. So Maria Sarahal Hero, forgive me if I've butchered that. Sorry. Really quick question though, which is nice. I would really love for you all to do a reading on the lobbies that control governments, especially American, British, and Australia. Will things change in the years to come? Let's have a look.
Okay.
Lobbyists. One card pull.
The future of lobbyists, basically.
Thanks for suggesting the one card pull, Lady G. We've not done it in a while, and we forget how succinct it is at times. Lobbyists. All right. After 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Yeah, it's a balancing act. What are they going to do? Because one of my pet fetishes is lobbying used to mean having an influence. Now they dictate. You will vote for this, to this. So juggling that importance that they have.
Wow. Wow.
Lady G, how do you interpret it, of course?
Well, Swords is the mental realm, so they've got things crossed. They don't want things to change when it comes to the lobbyists. So yeah, keep it close to the chest.
Wow. And here I've got Swords again. So again, talking about the mental side of things. And it's interesting because, of course, in this card, one side of the waters is smooth and the other side is choppy. So what this would suggest to me is are the lobbyists wanting to exit stage left? I suggest probably not. But what I'm thinking is, I think this is maybe just in general, maybe this is the populace wanting to move on from this kind of influence of government, which I think has become very, very clear to people, particularly as well in the last couple of years or so, because it's not just the lobbyists. When we think of Elon Musk, when we think of all of these billionaires giving tons of money to things, I think this might be the electorate finally moving on. Oh, and Lena, I've just remembered as well, we didn't have time for it. Maybe we'll do it next week, where you wanted to ask about Google having to pay tax.
Yes.
So I think this is part of it as well. So I'm thinking this is in the collective consciousness of the people who are maybe wanting to move on from this lobbyist having so much influence and power. Ladies, can you believe it? The time has gone in a flash.
Whoosh. That was so quick. It felt like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it did. Literally, I can't believe how quick that's gone. We covered a lot of ground today. I want to thank everyone for their questions, intriguing questions, great variety. And this is one of the things what I love about everyone's contributions here. Wonderful variety. The show has so much scope. That went in a flash. I can't believe we're over time, but of course we will be back next week. Any closing thoughts, ladies, before we finally wrap? Lena?
Yeah, somebody was just saying about going in and freezing your credit at the 3 credit bureaus. Now, I just did that. It's really easy to do. You can do it online. If you're not planning to take out a loan or something that you need to apply for a credit, freeze your stuff. It takes only a few minutes, and then you can go in and unfreeze it if you want to apply for credit for something.
Good advice in the modern world. Do that. And I'd like to give the last word to Maria. The people need to stop dictatorship in all forms of government.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a good guideline?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that is a perfect point on which to end on. Thank you, everyone, for contributing to the show. Please, of course, don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification. And of course, you can subscribe to the ladies' channels in the links below. But thanks for those questions. Tremendous variety tonight. We really covered the whole gamut. International, US politics, and the pontiff, which for me was very
China's
revelatory.
Demographic.
Oh yeah, China's demographic, all sorts of things. So thank you again, as always, for joining us, everyone. It was over 1,500 of you that joined us tonight. And we will see you, of course, next week. Bye-bye for now. Big love. And we will see you soon. All right. Bye-bye for now.